What is up, guys? This is PVM Vertigo, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. And today you join me on the runway, and well, as you can see, it is quite the space plane. It is Parrot Mark II, and as you can see in the middle, that large black object is not a fuel tank. Well, I mean, it is a fuel tank in the middle, but the rest of it is air intakes. We're going to be doing some air hogging, and we are going to fly this plane, hopefully, to Eve. I mean, it's got barely enough delta V to get there, so there's no room for error at all, but I'm going to try to get there anyway. So it's got a ton of lift. You can lift off the ground fairly easily. It's got a good thrust to weight ratio. Like, it's higher than 1, so you can pretty much go to 45-degree angle. It's very maneuverable. So, I mean, it has 6 engines, so it can push that upper stage, or the rocket stage, all the way up to like around 30,000 meters. So it can fly pretty high. It can get to very high speeds using only air intakes before we switch over to the rocket engine. And that's where all the action will take place, because the rocket engine holds around 2,800 something meters per second of delta V. So that's enough to orbit, or get to orbit, so that's like 500 meters per second. And then getting to Eve will take the majority. And when we get there, our plan is to just kind of coast down and land on Eve. We're not really going to use any engine power because 1, there's no air on Eve to use the air intakes, and 2, we will not have enough rocket fuel to make a descent. I mean, if we were going to Gilly, we probably could make a descent, but we're not going to Gilly, so. And if I was planning on doing that, I'd probably put some landing legs on the back for increased stability. But for some reason, I feel like even on Gilly, that might not even need to happen. It's got so little gravity, so when we go there, we might use the space plane again. So just keep that in mind. However, this is by all means not the end-all space plane that I will use. Probably going to be better versions or iterations of it. I don't really like how the intakes on the side, like not the major ones, but the ones on the side that are on the engine housing, I don't like how they go down as much, because that means I have to put a structural fuselage below the nose tip, and that can it just doesn't make it as maneuverable, and I think it's a little bit not asymmetrical, but just doesn't look balanced. And of course it needs more delta V, because there's no way it's going anywhere else besides Eve and maybe Duna without higher amounts of delta V. So that's coming in future iterations of this Parrot spacecraft. This is the second iteration, by the way. It's Parrot Mark II. The first one happened last episode, where we were able to get into orbit with it. But now we are going to Eve. So yeah, this is the first interplanetary spaceplane I've ever designed. I used air hogging, so that's pretty much what set me over the barrier. Most of my spaceplanes could maybe go to min-miss, but never interplanetary, so this is a first for me, first flight. So we're setting up our maneuver here. And this is going to be kind of hard because we're leaving a little bit early and on a funky inclination. So setting up the maneuver will be kind of difficult. And it takes me around 10 or maybe like 8 minutes to get it correct, because it's always a little bit ahead, so we'll just skip to the point where I fixed it. So I made a good maneuver, and we are just deploying the solar panels, because as you can see in the top right, our electric charge was slowly going down. And we use the skipper engine to power us. As you can see, we're already at less than half of a tank, so that's another thing we need. We need more fuel. Maybe even use some nuclear engines for this interplanetary stuff. Probably would be more wise to use those. But we're using what we can. Eventually it'll be all nuclear with Rapier engines, but we can't research those Rapier engines because we don't have the $3 million to upgrade the research facility. And that's another bottleneck, because most of the stuff we have at the Space Center is fully upgraded except for, can't remember, I think it's the tracking station maybe, or, I don't know, but the majority is fully upgraded. We just need to get that research facility, the $3 million paid on it, so we can research the bigger rocket parts and the bigger space plane parts. The new Mark IIIs are going to be good. And of course the Rapier engine to help get us up there. We could also use the Aerospike as well. But nevertheless, disregarding future plans, we are on a one-way course to Eve, or so this maneuver node says, or this orbit says. But as soon as we get out there, we realize that we are actually not going to Eve, because it's an inaccuracy it annoys me about. It annoys me in Kerbal Space Program how it's inaccurate by a little bit. But I mean, it's better a little bit accurate than not accurate at all, right? So we're just going to set up a little bit of a correction burn on our way there. We're going to do a full-on flight this episode. We're not going to, just push it out into space and then stop. Because this is a pretty interesting journey, to be quite honest. And we are going to set it up on a sub-atmospheric trajectory. And this is quite the amount of delta V. And you see, I'm kind of messed up here. And I thought that we had like 300 meters per second of delta V, but we actually only have 200 because I didn't understand how it took into account of the liquid fuel slash air breathing engines. I thought it was all rocket fuel and rocket engines that they were calculating, but no, and yeah, we run out of fuel. So that's an issue. So I'm checking that to see if we even got the encounter. I'm checking my fuel because I'm wondering what the heck happened, and yeah, sure enough, ran out of oxidizer. So I zoom out, and yeah, we're on the way there, but we run into an issue that only the pilot can resolve. So our apo, or our periapsis, is like 4 million kilometers or something crazy like that. So I want to see how much the EVA propellant can change the velocity. So what ends up happening is it changes it by about 30 kilometers, or yeah, 30 kilometers. So that's a significant amount, but the thing is, it'll take us 40 times to do that, or more like a lot more, actually. Now that I think about it. But yeah, we do get out and push. We use the EVA propellant to help us get our trajectory down by a little bit. And well, I mean, I've played RuneScape, so I know how grinding in video games works. So I was gonna do this because I don't want to revert or just waste this spacecraft. And the EVA pack is working pretty good. I don't know if I'm time accelerating here, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. And well, what ends up happening is I figure out that I was kind of stupid because there's still monopropellant left, so that can cut us down by quite a large amount. And so we get ourselves down a lot with the monopropellant. And another reason why I was burning this away is because if you burn away the fuel, that means that there's less mass, and if there's less mass, you can use your Kerbals EVA pack to kind of push the rocket along more efficiently. And yeah, we're running out of monopropellant, and I'm just kind of doing like the anti-normal dance or something because my monopropellant is kind of uneven. So I kind of twitch a little bit. Twitch.tv. But yeah, I'm twitching a little bit. And I kind of have to click the docking port, then I kind of have to click the stage sequence, and I gotta click docking that, and it's just a big dance of that. So it's kind of boring, but we're gonna run out of monopropellant soon anyway, so you can just kind of watch to see what our end result is. So all this boring stuff is happening. Let me tell you about some future plans. In the works, we have to build an orbital station over Ike, and that will be coming up in the next episode. Actually, we'll launch it and probably get it there, because I mean, why not? It's a launch to Ike. You've seen it done before. It's not that much of a landmark. And I also have another station. I can't remember where it is, but I know the one on Ike is going to be next episode. The one after that will be a different episode, because we have to grind out the money if we want to get the research facility. So that's future episodes. We might be doing more parrot experiments. In fact, my in real life parrot is sleeping right now. But not concerning the actual parrot. We got him pushed quite a lot of times. This is like the 15th time. I just kind of cut out a random one just to see what I was doing because I had so many recorded. I had like 30 recorded. It was pretty bad, but here we are entering Eve. And the pilot, who's extremely exhausted from doing that, well, he was getting out and he was pushing for quite a while. I mean, his feet must hurt from pushing along a spacecraft in space. Because now it's becoming a plane and it is entering the Eve atmosphere, and it is dark and I can't see a thing. The sky is black, and hold up, it's barely purple. So I have no idea where I'm landing, so I'm just gonna hope that this is gonna be a good spot, a good nice flat spot. And from what I see from up here, it apparently is a nice and flat spot. And I'm just doing some science, and I don't even know why I'm transmitting it now because I just ran out of electricity. And oh my gosh, I'm lucky that I have Kerbals flying this thing and not a drone, because otherwise I would have been dead. Because you do know that if you run out of electric charge, the probes can't run. So at least the Kerbals can fly this manually. But I have really no other systems running now. And you see, in the moment I messed this up. Okay, you see that pink blob over there? I thought that that was an ocean or a lake. I didn't know that what I was flying over was an ocean. So I thought that I was going to land on flat land when really I was landing in some water. And that proves to be kind of an issue. But you see, I could have landed on that pink blob, but I avoided it since I thought that it was in fact a lake. See, that's why you always do your stuff on the light side of a planet or moon instead of on the pitch black side. Even though I really had no choice since I had to get out and push anyway. But yeah. We go down and you can see my mistake. It looks like ground from here. It looks like perfectly flat ground. So I'm like, okay, sweet, let's just go right down on it. And I still have no electricity because I'm still on the dark side. And I cannot, I mean, my altimeter is showing 70 meters, but I thought I was a little bit higher, of course, because I was on land. So I'm just kind of floating around. And E's atmosphere is extremely dense, so it gives you a ton of lift. So if I were to just twitch this thing up, I'd start lifting. But I'm just waiting until I hit, and at this point, I'm thinking that I'm gonna touch ground, I'm gonna touch ground, I'm gonna touch ground, but I never do, and so I'm getting kind of suspicious. And but I touch down anyway. And at this point, I start turning a little bit, and I didn't realize that I was getting dragged from being so close. And I land eventually after doing some sort of really weird turn. But then I realized that in fact, I landed in water. And I'm very lucky that I did not crash and burn there, because on Kerbin I would have died. So thank you, ocean. Another good thing about the ocean is I didn't pack a ladder on this thing, so if this guy were to get out of his cabin, he would not, there's no chance he'd be able to get back. Because on Eve, the atmosphere is so dense that Kerbals cannot jump, they can't jetpack, they can't do anything. In fact, when he gets out and goes into the ocean, he practically just kind of falls off the edge and gets sucked under. It looks like he's on time acceleration, even though it's not. And look, he almost gets stuck to the bottom of the ocean there. Oh gosh. And yeah, our main goal is to time warp and get the solar panels out, but I'm just gonna get some science from the ocean. Why not? And so I can right click and store the experiments even though I'm not anywhere near the capsule. So that's good. So I time warp because I need to extend the solar panels. But before I do that, I obviously need to do more science because it doesn't matter what time it is. I start transmitting it just to get it all ready, and then I time warp. There we go. I thought I did this earlier, but I don't know, I did this like 2 days ago. Now we're gonna extend the panels so we get some nice electricity flowing through our system. Even though it's still not enough to power those at 2 antennae. We probably should have packed more solar panels, to be honest. But so far, this space plane, it did good. So this was quite a long episode for one mission. But I thought it was pretty exciting. We had to get out and push. It was pretty hilarious. But that just shows that, I mean, the Kerbal EVA pack is not to be underestimated. You can get out and push quite a I mean, I did it, like, I didn't keep track, but I did it like more than 20, more than 30 times. It was around, I think it was around like 32 times, I think, or 31 times. It only took like 30 seconds each, so it took me like 20 minutes just on getting out and pushing a few times. So it wasn't that bad. It was really boring, but I had somebody in the Skype call, so I mean, it would have been a lot boring going solo. It's not anything like grinding 100 or like 100,000 big bones on RuneScape. Oh, that was a grind. This is no way in comparison to what RuneScape was in grinding. So I've experienced the grind in video games before. But we're coming up on the end of this episode soon, so I'm going to start announcing things that I will be doing. I'm going to be doing some Kerbal Space Program videos. My channel recap is coming up in like 12 days, right? 12 or I don't even know. It's coming up soon though, like a week, 2 weeks. TF2 live commentaries are coming out. Maybe some. I might do some Kerbal Space Program tutorials, like how to get into orbit, how to launch your first rocket, how to dock maybe. I don't know. Also, I will be doing some CS:GO videos. Probably not DayZ videos, although it might happen. I have one that's like halfway recorded. I just don't have enough footage for it. The thing is, DayZ takes a long time to get interesting moments from. So I might buy GTA 5. Not really sure. And wow, this transmission is taking a long time. I just talked about my entire gaming channel as this was transmitting, and it's not even done yet. Look at that. Oh, that's why. I start time warping to get it done faster. But I'm gonna skip over this because it's getting pretty boring now. So at the tech tree, we buy a few things. You know how that goes. We need to really get a new research facility though. So we'll be doing that in the next episode. This is PVM Vertigo. Peace out.